There's one thing I find truly brilliant in World of Warcraft. A balancing mechanic that found its perfect place. Something that I didn't see anywhere else since now. At first, I thought it was an ordinary mechanic, but analyzing it helped me understand how it extended the player's experience. Have you ever been through this situation? If that's the case, then I'm sorry for you. For those who don't understand this, it is a death recap from League of Legends. It shows the time spent in fight and the time spent under crowd control. No need to explain how frustrating it can be, and the situation is not especially uncommon. Crowd controls, that I will name CC from now on, are omnipresent in League of Legends. They have different effects, but there is no great way to counter them. But then, I wonder, why don't CCs frustrate me when I play World of Warcraft? We don't really have the present WoW anymore. Everyone knows its name, but there are fewer people who knows the game keeps living well. Since 2008, there have been multiple editions of the Arena World Championship. It is a competition open to anyone over the globe that gathers the best PvP player. They fight to death in group of 3 against another team. Most of the time, doing the first kill grants the win instantly. And as you may imagine, it is everything but a simple task. Because of WoW's MMORPG nature, player can pick any of the dozen classes, and each one can be played in different ways and take place in many team composition. And those elements are only the basics. I'll keep the details for later in the video. Just keep in mind that the 3v3 arena are complex on contest level. Now, I would like to introduce you to the balancing mechanic. It's named diminishing return, and consists of offering, as its name implies, digressive results on another mechanic. To put it simply, it adds a layer to an existing mechanic that may be too powerful or game breaking, so it doesn't get abused. A perfect example of that will be the rollout from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Using it makes you invulnerable, but spamming it makes you slower to recover from it. The DR can be applied to a ton of mechanics, to increase or reduce a value by a percentage, always to punish the spam. Now, you may start to understand where I'm taking you with this explanation. In World of Warcraft, there is diminishing returns on CCs. I will now ask to fasten your seatbelts, because we'll dive into more technical explanation. Let's take player A. He is the target of Hammer of Justice. It is a spell that applies a 6-second stun on the target. So, player A gets stunned for 6 seconds. Then, if a warrior launches the spell Stun Ball, player A will only be stunned for 50% of the maximum duration. Right after that, if the warrior casts his Shockwave, the uptime of the stun will be reduced by 75%. Why is that? Thanks to DR, the effectiveness of CC will be digressive when they are chained on a single target. When a CC is applied on a player, a hidden timer of 20 seconds starts. During this period of time, each CC thrown will be less effective by a fixed amount. After the third one, the targeted player becomes immune to new CCs until the duration of the DR is over. It is also good to know that every time a new CC is applied, the timer resets to its full duration. But that only applies to a single player, which means I can spread my Hammer of Justice on player A and Stone Bolt on player B, and they will both have 100% effectiveness. And that doesn't stop here. WoW have many spells, and stun isn't the only crouch control that can affect you. There's more, such as Disorient or Incapacitate for example. Each type of CC has its independent DR, which means throwing a stun won't affect the effectiveness of a Disorient spell. If, in my first example, player A was under the Fury spell, that would disarm him for 6 seconds, and then the whole sequence of stun spells will apply the same. If another Disorient spell was casted 20 seconds after the Fear spell, then it will have 100% effectiveness, with or without the stun spell in the sequence. From the start, my explanations were only a matter of mathematics. But with that context, it will be hard to understand the potential of Deer in WoW's arena. As explained earlier, the 3v3 arena are deathmatches. It is not easy to get a kill, thanks to some elements of the game. A 3v2 composition is always composed of 2 damage dealers and a healer. The main role of the damage dealers is to put pressure on the enemy team until they get a kill. Healers will be in charge of recovering the health point of the whole team. The presence of the healer makes the game way longer, but that wouldn't be possible without the second aspect. In World of Warcraft, you don't really get one shot. Okay, that is unless there is a huge problem of balancing. But most of the time, you are tanky by nature. You shouldn't be killed in 2 seconds, which gives time to your healer to help you survive. The most important is this. These are action bars. There is many spells for different situations. Offensive, defensives, CCs, and some are more powerful than others, which is balanced by the longer cooldown. Most of the time to get a kill, players have to use their offensive CDs, while surviving an assault often requires one defensive CD. With a great cooldown management, it is possible to stay alive for a long period of time. For a better understanding, when 2 great teams face each other, it is common to attend a 10-minute fight. And so, the most efficient way to get a kill is to prevent the opposing healer from helping his teammates, especially when they reach low health. Which isn't simple, because of how hard it can be to lower a player's HP bar, and CCs cannot be thrown randomly. But another tool that I didn't mention prevents CCs from being too decisive. It's the Medallion, an item held by every PvP player that can remove every CC on the user with a 2-minute cooldown. It means you are free of the CC that was used on you, and the DR timer starts. The diminishing return of crowd controls from World of Warcraft have many impacts over the experience of Arena's players. First off, it is less frustrating. As mentioned, WoW CCs are longer in duration than most games, but they are not too decisive if you lost if thrown randomly, and you have the time to react so you can survive. The game is also balanced, so you may have more time without being CC'd than time under CC. It also affects meta strategies, because every spell is valuable and CCs are one of the best tools to help end the game. A common strategy is born, the Go. It consists of using every offensive CD on a single target, while a rotation of CC prevents the healer from helping his allies. This single meta redefined the way Arena were played, and it can be seen with a mastery curve that evolves a difficulty curve. That is because the game has a ranking system. The Go strategy becomes more and more important to play with, master, and counter. Successfully using the Go strategy puts your team in a big advantage, often leading to win. But if the Go strategy is used in a wrong way, or getting countered by a great CD management, then the team using the Go strategy becomes vulnerable and weak for the next minute or two. It creates some microflow situation during the grind of a player in the ranking. While at lower elo, using a Go strategy is often enough to win, facing better player presents a challenge to understand how to counter it, how to master it, and also how to fake it. The player will have to refine his skills every time he's getting higher in the rating, because other player might just be a bit stronger than him on the strategy. Talking about faking, there's also some meaningful choices that take place to define a winning or losing situation. My hero is done. Shall I use a defensive CD to prevent myself from dying? Or will the opponent wait for me to waste it to punish me right after? My group is getting assaulted. Shall I use my medallion? Or will they survive and I get to keep it for a more critical moment? Which CC shall I use regarding my team composition and the current situation? Every choice around the CC and the impact it has on the game develops the importance of decision making. Explained like this, diminishing returns seems like a great idea to balance a mechanic, but it cannot be applied to every game, and there are other ways to balance a mechanic that can be more relevant, more enjoyable. Here are some reasons why. Some games have a different balancing. In Final Fantasy XIV, the damage inflicted by the player are too high. In the end, CCs are not relevant to kill anyone, since most of the time, players get one-shotted. It is less relevant if the game doesn't aim on killing the enemy. In World of Warcraft, the diminishing return isn't as useful and balanced in the battleground mode, where you have to capture a flag or defend an objective. There are more players in an instance, from 10 to 20, so that generally makes CCs less powerful. In other games that use crowd controls such as League of Legends, the objective isn't to make a kill. That means most of the time, a kill is rewarding, but the main aspect of the game doesn't revolve around this, and making the fights longer doesn't really make sense. Some games have specific tools to counter CC. In Blade and Soul or Black Desert Online, there are mechanics that, well used, counter the CCs or reduce by a huge amount of time their duration. Naturally, the effectiveness of CC is less important than in World of Warcraft, where you have to play around it. To summarize, diminishing return is great to balance game-breaking and abusable mechanics. But a greater design, if there is room to put one more mechanic, is to add a way to counter the first mechanic. That makes the game more dynamic against these tools, and it can lead to an interesting and unique experience for the player. All of this may result in expanding the lifespan of a game with brand new strategies. Thanks to everyone who has been reaching the end of this video. This has been the first time for me analyzing a game mechanic in a video, so don't hesitate to tell me if there is stuff that I can improve in the comment section of the video. I'm a second year game designer student, so your advice matters to me, and I will be grateful to learn from your perspective and your point of view. And goodbye everyone.